So, good morning, hello, and welcome to the Trackstars Touring Cars Series. Round 3 of the 2021 season is about to get underway. But before we do get to qualifying and racing and other festivities, let's take a quick look at our circuit for today, Autopolis. A circuit initially built for Formula One racing, the Pacific Grand Prix that ended up running at Okayama was intended for this facility. Of course, it never came to be. It's a complex circuit here, not too much in the way of breathing room for the drivers. This long sweeping left-hander really takes out the tyres over the course of a race distance when the tyre wear is higher. Shouldn't be a problem in today's 3:11 lap sprints. This negative camber hairpin, always treacherous and tricky, especially in these high torque Group 2 cars that we run here in the Trackstars Touring Cars. This section should be advantage Honda NSX. The mid-engined car will take to these mid-speed S-bends very nicely indeed. One last big sweeping right-hander, a jink left. You won't have to worry about that pit entry today. That is a lap of Autopolis. Circuit's, of course, owned by Toyota. And with a Lexus bridge over the front straight, can we expect to see a Lexus victory here today? Of course, the Trackstars Touring Cars organisers would be remiss if we didn't do something to acknowledge the great career and tragic loss of Murray Walker, the voice of Formula One, in essence, for many of its first 5 decades in existence. His commentary career predates the Formula One World Championship, of course, handed over the microphone on a full-time basis as far back as 2001. But Murray was never far removed from the paddock, never far removed from the motorsport community, and well into his 90s was unmatched for insight and anecdote in the world of motorsport. Tragically, we found the news yesterday that Murray Walker passed away at the age of 97 years old, and he will surely be missed by any English-speaking racing fan. His commentary for the BBC and later the ITV made its way across the world to British-speaking countries, including Australia, so many of the Trackstars Touring Cars drivers will have him in their thoughts. And with that in mind, we will be doing a parade lap in tribute to Murray Walker. We'll also be having a minute's silence on the starting grid. On a personal note, Murray was the F1 commentator just as I was getting into the sport. I was born in 1997, so he was the voice of my earliest memories in Formula One. I never got the opportunity to meet him personally, though many of my peers did, and everyone was unanimous in discussing not just the skills of the man behind the mic, but the unmatched personality and kindness of the man you'd meet in real life. I spoke about this on social media, but I do honestly believe no one will ever surpass Murray Walker. And whenever a comedian, anyone does an impression of motorsport commentary, the loving parody will be that of Murray Walker. Murray Walker defined motorsport commentary, and I don't think we'll ever stray too far from his parameters for the sport. So looking forward to being able to honour Murray. Of course, Murray in Australia, since we are primarily an Australian audience, it's worth mentioning Murray for several years was a significant part of the Clipsal 500. I believe he used to go over there and do the circuit commentary for numerous years at the Clipsal 500. It's a wonderful clip I found online of the 2011 Clipsal 500 getting underway with the dulcet tones of Murray Walker. And that must have been an absolutely wonderful pleasure to see one of the best racing series in the world commentated on by one of the sport's definitive voices. Looks as though we're missing a couple of people at the moment from the room. Little Blacko was having some issues with his connection. I saw that on track on my guide lap. So hopefully we'll see him soon. So apologies for the pause, but it is obviously important to It's Racing, two track stars, that we get the planned tribute to the late great Murray Walker in before the race. I believe we're just going to hold fort and wait for the missing drivers. Good evening to Justin Andrew, Bush Chuk Bondi, and Gabans. As the parade lap looks to be starting now, led by the Elite Brake and Mechanical Safety Car of RoboSport. As we say, parade lap being added to today's program in memory of Murray Walker. Of course, Murray, from a racing family, his father was an avid motorcycle racer. Murray himself was deeply embedded into the motorcycle racing community. Certainly an fan of motorsport in all types. Short documentary produced about him just a couple of years ago was entitled "It Wasn't Work," and certainly that was always the approach that Murray Walker took. He was incredibly studious about his research, about making sure he knew exactly what he was going into in advance of a commentary. And I don't think that was out of courtesy or any form of labour. It was purely because it was who he was and the level of passion he had for the sport. The drivers now lining up then to the grid to start the minute's silence. Caban's there with a great point, a World War II veteran, Murray as well. Can't say enough for the man's character. Now a minute's silence in tribute to the late, great Murray Walker. There we go. With the tributes complete, we now move on to the meat of the day. Qualifying will be underway shortly. Great tribute there from the It's Racing crew as well. Rest in peace, Murray. Go, go, go! Of course. Everyone else who ever has a signature phrase at the start of a racing event is merely trying to imitate Murray's famous countdown of the lights. As qualifying begins then, shortly, we'll talk you through the championship situation, which is looking very interesting indeed after 2 rounds of action. Let's first talk about the team points, or the Drivers' Championship point standings. It is EBM Brandosa in the 34 car, this man here, that leads the points table as it stands in the Trackstars Touring Car Series. He's had strong, consistent results. I believe he's yet to take a race win, but he's been very consistent. And thus that number 34 Nissan is at the front of the championship points table with 258. Just 5 points back from him is Bunz in the 47 on 253 points. It's Racing is next up in the 95 car on 252. As it's Racing's teammate Deadpool. 4th place in the points on 240 is this man, Enspud, the number 1 car, the defending champion, down in 4th place on 240 points, but only 18 points removed from the top of the table. And with the high-scoring nature of the points table here in Trackstars, one good result will put him right back to the top. Lurox 22 on 227 in 5th place, and he is tied with Deadpool. So the top 6 separated by just 31 points. You go back down to Xiaomi in 7th as well, the other EBM Motorsport car on 225 points. So certainly all to play for among the top 7 in the championship standings. It is this team that we're looking at now, Mash Spuds Racing, headed of course by the titular driver Enspud P666. His Mash Spuds Racing outfit are currently at the top of the points scores with 493 points to their name. EBM Motorsport, 483 points to this stage in the season for them, and 479 points for It's Racing Esports. CP Motorsports on 461 and RoboSport Racing on 455. So the top 5 in the point standings, all within 40 points. Yet more reason to keep an eye on this season. At the moment, it does very much seem as though it's all to play for here in Trackstars. Nice new livery here for the NSXs. Huso 14 there. I believe replacing Papa in the CP Motorsports fold. Qualifying has begun then. 10 minutes of qualifying for these drivers before 3 11-lap races to follow. There's this man, Deadpool, who leads them away. Diswood comes out behind. Quite a few drivers, actually, Diswood has come out behind. This man, Farrell PS, will be the second out on a flying lap. Deadpool leading the field for the first flying lap that will begin in earnest shortly. Right on board with the number 3. Farrell, the Indonesian driver, has mixed bag so far this season. Very quick, very capable driver. Looking to see more from him in today's encounter. Looks like he's struggling with a bit of understeer there through that difficult section. Quite a lot of negative camber to play with here at Autopolis, of course. And so Deadpool starts the first flying lap of his session. So important to get that first corner correct here at Autopolis. I'm sure that's going to be home to some late braking moves, some overtakes as the racing wears on. The first corner, always interesting, always a bit of a hostile negotiation on the first lap. We certainly want to be towards the sharp end of the field here at Autopolis. There are overtaking opportunities, but qualifying is certainly very important here as well. Overtaking is possible. There's also a narrow margin for error, so if you can avoid starting further back than your pace dictates, that will certainly be the ideal. Through the sweeping right-hander goes Deadpool then. The Honda driver for its Racing Esports has been consistently towards the front of the field so far this season. Came in to the It's Racing Esports fold with high expectations. Crosses the line now to set the benchmark, and it's a very good one, a 32.135. Here comes Diswood. Can he go quicker? He can, a 32.047. More times flooding in. Good lap there from Huso to make it a Honda 1-2-3. Oh, and a moment there for Brandosa, the championship leader. Like he was into the wall there. And here is N-Spud. He's on the outlap. Kuntz has just improved his, or just set his fastest, or first flying lap, I should say, a 1:33.0, a second off the pace. Very interested to see what the Lexus is capable of here. Deadpool, meanwhile, looks like he's been pushing it a bit too hard. Found himself on the grass there. Huso tangled up with DJSX pointed. Kuntz in P4 at the moment. Head of It's Racing. Of course, It's coming back to the series this week after a real-life injury prevented him from taking part in his sim racing. 34.4, the best he could manage on that occasion. Let's see what Spud can do then. The upward climb. Under the bridge. Fire the car over that negative cambered left-hander. Long sweeping right. One last kink left towards the line. Is it going to be a quick time? It is. 4th position. How much more does he have in his back pocket? At the moment, the Hondas look rather dominating here. It's Diswood then with the quickest time at the moment. Sharp new livery on the car. Same sharp pace being applied from Diswood, who of course looked so promising filling in last week here in the CP Motorsports camp. Across the line comes Diswood, and it's quicker still. A sub 1:32, a 31.956. gauntlet has thoroughly been laid down there. Off-track moment for Deadpool. Meanwhile, Spud on another lap. Is this going to be an improvement? Haven't seen his splits for the rest of the lap. Only a 33.3. Comes Spud then on another lap. Let's see what the second split is like as he comes up to the hairpin. Doesn't look like it's going to be much quicker. Diswood, meanwhile, even faster, a 31.857. Just 2 minutes of the session left for anyone else to lower the limbo bar. I don't know that anyone else is. Looks like Diswood has a thorough hold on this at the moment. Mazadon crosses the line, improves his time to a 35.0, and Huso goes to the top with a 31.601. The bar is being lowered and lowered by the CP Motorsports drivers. Is there anyone who has a response to this level of speed? Looks like Spud being very careful there on the throttle. First of two hairpins here in the middle sector at Autopolis. You have to be so careful on the power, particularly with these high revving turbocharged four-cylinder engines. A little bit wide at the apex there, but I think a good line overall. Just ran it too wide though. I think that will probably cost him. Let's take a look at its racing. Still down there in the 35s and 34s. Xiaomi on a 34.480. Slapper's made to 34.292. Lots of improvements coming in. It's an outlap for Farrell though. Session has come to a close, so everyone will get to finish their lap, and that will be all. Looks like Deadpool abandoned his last attempt. There's Robosports driving, I believe, in place of Little Blacko. So looks like there won't be a safety car here due to this late call. We did see Little Blacko DC. So evidently Robosports has had to get the racing overalls on. By all means, he looks to be doing a good job here. 33.8, good enough for 6th position at the moment. Bushchuk Bondi says, can you say hi to Slapper's mate 117 for me? Yes, we'll say hi to him from you, Bondi. Let's see where he is out there on circuit. Just coming across the line to complete his last lap now in the 11 car. Late improvement from him, a 34.0, keeps him in 9th place on the grid. Just behind It's Racing. So relatively good qualifying from the Pit Lane Esports Lexus driver. With that, the qualifier ends, and it's an all Honda front row. It's an all CP Motorsports front row with Huso and Diswood. The black and gold, black and yellow NSXers will lead the way. Deadpool is in 3rd, defending champion N-Spud in 4th. Behind him is Punts in the other Mash Spuds Lexus. And RoboSport, the late sub, doesn't get a great start for his Nissan, nor does Diswood. Oh, Deadpool way too late on the brakes there. He's off into the gravel. He'd got between the two CP Motorsports Hondas on the approach to turn 1. Was far too late on the apex, side-by-side and contact between Spud and Farrell meanwhile. Spud just about holds on to 3rd place, and a great start from DJSX Pointed puts him into 4th. Punts there in 5th place and Farrell in 6th. Pointed looking very racy here in the early going for the Pit Lane Esports team. Can he make a move for P3? He's already got himself between the two Mass Spuds racing cars. Meanwhile, Xiaomi with an off. See if we can catch what happened there. No, a little bit too late to the punch. It looked like he struggled to get back underway after his initial moment. Spud running in 3rd still then, Pointed in 4th. But it's these two, the Pit Lane, rather CP Motorsports Honda NSXs at the top of the order. Huso and Diswood flying in formation at the moment. It's Racing, of course, the other Honda team, It's Racing Esports. And they're having to work from behind. You see their Deadpool down in 13th place. Oh, is that contact? RoboSport, they're very deep onto the brakes, and he's all sorts of dramas there on the grass, but he just about manages to keep it on the straight and narrow. But he does drop positions in the process. RoboSport drafted in late on there, courtesy of Little Blacko's issues with his internet. Deadpool looking to try and make some moves as well. He's made contact there with Brandosa, who is all the way down in 13th, our championship leader. Down in 13th, and his EBM teammate, Xiaomi, is in P14. So this is not going well for the Nissans in general, really, but particularly for the EBM team. Spud running in P3 still. Pointed and Punts right behind him. Great early run here for the Pit Lane Esports driver, Pointed. Currently runs down in 13th in the overall standings. So good performances in these 3 races today at Autopolis would be welcome. It's Racing has made it up to 6th place. Meanwhile, the Shaded Racing boys, they're having a good time of it at the moment, running 7th and 8th. Would be a strong performance for them if they can hold on to that. And here's Deadpool carving through the order. He's just dispatched both of the RoboSport drivers and now finds himself in amongst it. As from Pit Lane Esports and Shaden Racing Team gets past Slapper's mate there. Oh, and 3 wide between Slappers and the 2 Robo Sport cars there. Looked a bit hairy, to say the least. Off there for one of the Shaden Racing cars. It's been Wiseacre who went off there. Deadpool through into 8th place then. Farrell has managed to get through into 9th ahead of Robosport, so Slappers has dropped to 11th. See if we can catch that. Looked like a good overtake. In fact, no, looked like fairly easy stuff there for Farrell. Wazadon, or rather Slapper's mate, made it quite easy for him there. Top 2 into T1. Huzo and Diswood driving away. Just in a different area code already. Spud running 3rd place. It's been a consistent season to this point for Spud, by and large. It's not been as dramatically successful as his title-winning year last season to this point. But this does feel like a season where consistency is key. We see that with Brandosa, who's always been there or thereabouts in terms of podium contention to this point and currently leads the championship, although one suspects that will end with today, at least for the time being. Brandosa still down there in 12th place. Robosport still doing a good job here in 10th. It's a big story as it stands. Brandosa, our championship leader, really in the wars. This Autopolis circuit is a Marmite track in the Gran Turismo community. Some love it, some hate it. It's certainly one that can collect you with ease in the event of a mistake. No forgiving tarmac runoffs to be found here at Autopolis. Feels weird to say for a circuit constructed in the early 90s, but at this stage you could call it sort of an old school track. In the same vein as, say, the Hungaro Ring or the Nürburgring, in terms of layout and, of course, the use of gravel traps as opposed to tarmac runoff. Realistically, one of the last new Formula One builds before, one of the last new track builds with Formula One in mind, before the Tilke era, where Hermann Tilke seemed to take the monopoly on new racing circuits. As mentioned it slightly earlier, this was designed as a Formula One circuit for the Pacific Grand Prix, though it never came to visit. Eventually pointed there with 2 wheels on the grass. It's Pit Lane Esports versus Mash Spuds, and I think the pressure is on. Riding with the back of points there. Round riding with the back of pointed. Does Puntz take a look into T1? He gets very close, but he doesn't make the move. Meanwhile, Deadpool has got past It's Racing, so Deadpool's hunt up the order continues. He can still make podium here from gravel on lap 1. That would be an incredible drive. Will there be any movement among the CP Motorsports drivers? Fastest lap of the race last time from Diswood, the 32.2. We're just over half distance in this race now. At the moment it looks like they're fairly measured. and equally matched. Spud there still running third place, and Punts has got past Pointed. Pointed though back up the inside, they're still side by side, and Pointed isn't letting this one rest easy. Have to worry about Deadpool behind them as well. Still on the attack, wasn't close enough to challenge Punts that time. I think we're about to get a three-way scrap here for fourth place. Pointed with one of his best drives of the season thus far to this point. In the first of 3 races here at Autopolis. Bit of a moment there for Pointed, but only 2 wheels on the dirt, won't cause him too much grief. Twitchy as ever coming out of the hairpin. And it looks as though now Pointed has to worry more about Deadpool behind him than Punts in front of him. Deadpool has a look to the inside. These S-bends certainly in favour of the NSX's mid-engine layout. Of course, the NSX now runs front engine of all things in Super GT, but we still run the mid-engine model here on Gran Turismo Sport and in the Trackstars Touring Cars series. Deadpool with the slipstream surely in his favour, looks to the inside now, heading into T1. Pointed there, very brave on the brakes, manages to hold on to it. Punts, meanwhile, all sorts of dramas trying to keep his car on the straight and narrow. There comes Deadpool. Still side by side, these two having an excellent battle, and Pool nearly ends up with a wheel on the grass. Right on the limits of what you can get away with there. But thankfully, no one was claimed by that incident. Deadpool presses on then. 3 laps to go next time they cross the line. Once there, just getting a little bit of oversteer as he tries to build that gap over Pointed and Deadpool. The longer Pointed can hold off Deadpool, the better this is for Punts. Deadpool's pace suggests he could quite happily challenge for P4 if he gets past P5. Catching is one thing and passing is another, though. Once again in the slipstream as they head down the main straight. He's going to jink to the inside. This time he's got the car ahead and he's later on the brakes. Has he gone too deep into the corner? No. Fabulous pass from Deadpool, who moves into 5th place. Is Pointed going to be able to counter-attack heading into the second braking zone of the lap? No, not quite enough. And now can Pool get a car length or 2 over Pointed and focus on Punts, or is he going to have to worry about fireback? The sole British driver in this largely Australian championship. The less than ideal start to his race. Phenomenally. Meanwhile, some 11 seconds up the road, this man Diswood in 2nd place and Huso in the lead. These CP Motorsports cars been absolutely dominant to this point. It's a rather lonely race for Spud in third. It's less lonely for his teammate Punts, though. Here comes Deadpool. Oh, but Punts has overshot it. Now on my screen, it didn't look like there was contact between them there. Let's take a look at this replay. Did Deadpool get into the rear of Spud? On my screen, the answer is no. Punts, then, by the looks of it, just outbraking himself, and he drops down to P7 as a result. Deadpool up to 4th place then. I don't think he's going to be able to catch that 4.5 second gap on Spud in just over 1 lap. We expect a lot of Deadpool, but that would be too much. The recovery to 4th spot is good going for the NSX driver. Oh, but Poole there with a late mistake. Could this be enough for Pointed to capitalise? He's still a little way down the road. Not quite within slip. A little heart in the mouth moment there for our 4th place man, Deadpool. We haven't seen too much of these two though, Huso and Diswood. Exemplary driving from them both. Another team running in tandem is RoboSport and Farrell. Good run this RoboSport here. Or from RoboSport, I should say. The titular driver of the team, drafted in late for Little Blacko after some internet issues. And I think that might be a little bit of championship-centric driving there from the man who's usually at the wheel of our elite brake and mechanical safety car. Lets Farrell through. Of course, Farrell, a regular driver here in the series. Points matter more to him. Meanwhile, Huso and Wood are about to cross the line and take a stellar, exemplary victory in the first of 3 races here at Autopolis, and it is Huso who takes the win. It's a CP Motorsports 1-2. Diswood follows him home in 2nd place. Spud is going to come home for a relatively lonely P3, but good points in his back pocket. May well give him the championship lead as well. Deadpool across the line in 4th, ahead of Pointed with a great result in 5th place. It's Racing, after a week off, comes back for 6th place. Farrell PS takes 8th, just behind Punts, RoboSport and Slapper's Mate round out the top 10. And well, our championship leader coming into this weekend, only finishing 11th. Grandosa and Xiaomi across the line in their elite brake and mechanical motorsport cars. The Shaden Racing Team boys, who at one time were comfortably in the top 10, unfortunately, end up finishing this race 13th and 14th. Autopolis bites at times. It looks like it bit the Nissans in particular here. Meanwhile, celebrations for CP Motorsports in the first of 3 races here. We'll immediately get ready for another race, of course. So it should be just a brief pause. Between races. Midnight ISO saying there on the comments section. Great racing, guys. I have to agree, that was excellent stuff. If you're tuning in, do let us know. It's always good to know who's watching, who you're supporting. As we say, we expect race 2 to get underway shortly. This man, Deadpool, will be wanting to do better this race, having had to work through the field after an off at turn 1. Be hoping to try and get back onto the podium in this second race, which should be underway in just a few moments' time. Thanks for that, Midnight ISO. Certainly the efforts of the It's Racing, or rather the efforts of It's Racing himself, who is the organiser of a bulk of the Trackstars touring cars with some help from the likes of Spud. Their efforts cannot be minimised as they continue to grow the Trackstars body of series, the touring cars being joined by an ever-increasing array of championships. So there's some connection issues for Wiseacre. We've already lost Little Blacko to a few connection issues here today. Hopefully we can get this straight and get race 2 underway shortly. Delighted as ever to be here with you in what is this morning for me and this evening for most of the Aussie drivers here. Find me across social media as Adam Weller Comms if you are that way inclined. Should be with you here with the Trackstars drivers and teams until such time as the real-life racing season resumes. Leaves me at a bit of a debate, to be honest, because as much as I obviously love the real-life racing, these Trackstars boys do make it a lot of fun here. Delighted to be a part of the broadcasts. Hopefully we get another great race in just a few moments. It's Racing informing everyone that they need to tick in, so hopefully we will get the next race underway in short order. It will be this man, De Huzo, looking to once again push for the win. Although moments like that will not aid his efforts, it's safe to say. Still some issues for Wiseacre by the looks of it. Good story here with this man, RSR Robosport. Usually the safety car driver for the Trackstars Touring Cars series, races himself in the TS2 category that precedes these broadcasts. However, with Little Blacko's internet issues, has found himself back in the hot seat and by all means did a very good job in that last race. The burned Mylander of Trackstars, showing that he's still got some racing moves in his repertoire. This burned Mylander, the long-term Formula One safety car driver, also did a spot of DTM racing into the mid-2000s. Waiting on the hopeful joining of Wiseacre, who's really struggling to get into this room. Looks like we've got some backwards driving going on out there on circuit. It's pointed. Doing his best impression of Tomater. Oh, and Diswood going for the throat a bit there. We're just having a bit of fun, really. Unfortunately, with Wiseacre's issues, he has unfortunately been registered as a did not start, a DNS. thus the racing will begin without him. It's the NSXs on the front row then. Spud and Deadpool behind, the order from the first race, dictating the grid for the second. Are we going to get this race underway? We do. It's go, 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 in the words of the late Murray Walker, and we are underway here at Autopolis. Huso with the best start of anyone, but lots of drivers going too deep into the first corner, and poor Huso has been knocked for 6, and there's contact and drama all throughout the field. It's a terrible start to the race here. Just look at that moment there for Huso, gets punted there. I think it might have been his own teammate that actually made the final contact as it all kicked off. I believe we're going to safety car conditions, even though our safety car driver, of course, is in the race itself today, owing to the unique circumstances that the RoboSport team found themselves in. Safety car has been declared, so the field will bunch up here. Drivers will get a chance to fix their damage from that incident, but, well, that was, to say the least of it, a very dramatic start to the race. Huso was rather royally punted. Hi to Aussie Hypnotic. Restarting the race on lap 3, it says Spud, which I assume means at the end of lap 2. So then it's Spud from pointed, so the Lexuses, however you want to put it, have certainly gained from that incident. Now who comes into the pit lane? Xiaomi is in, Deadpool is in, Diswood is in. There's been 5 cars with damage. It was a battle royale of a moment at T1. Lots of drivers suffering the blows. Punt's there, another one who's way out of position now. Brandosa's up to 7th place from that. Deadpool rejoins the race in 11th. So again, he's going to have to work his way through the order. He's going to have to do so, in fact, with someone else we'd expect at the front in Diswood. Huso was exceedingly lucky to get away without contact there, without damage there. Of course, it was him who was absolutely rocketed into the gravel trap. Didn't take any damage as a result and runs in 5th place, which obviously is not ideal, but it could have been so much worse. And look at that for RoboSport. RoboSport would normally be leading the field at the moment, albeit in the safety car, the road-going Nissan GTR. But little Blacko's connection issues have forced his hand back into a racing seat. He's all the way up in 4th place at the moment. Now, I believe we should be going to green flag this time. And yes, it looks as though we are. The trigger has been pulled. Racing resumes. It's Pointed and Spud who lead the way then. Spud heading the way for the Mash Spuds Racing team. Pointed for Pit Lane Esports, they're just getting a wheel on the grass. Car tries to snap. Looks like everyone made it through turn 1 cleanly this time, critically. Huzo's already made it up to 4th place at the expense of RoboSport, who's dropped down to 6th. So it's Lexus, from Honda, from a pair of Nissans. Running in pairs at the moment, although not necessarily all part of the same team. RoboSport has moved down to 7th place now. Brandosa makes his way past, and now he's under pressure from Punts. He's under pressure from Deadpool. Deadpool and Diswood at close quarters, further back than they'd expect to be. There was a yellow flag out there, but I didn't spot who it was for. Oh, it was for RoboSport. RoboSport off track and in the gravel. I didn't see if he fell or whether he was pushed. But a moment for him. Deadpool, meanwhile, in the slip on Punts as they head down towards turn 1. Isn't quite going to make the corner, but Punts leaves him room on the inside. Punts ends up skating across the grass and almost into the gravel. Deadpool makes it through into 7th, and Diswood follows him. Things hotting up for 2nd place, meanwhile. It's Racing, running well in 3rd, the highest he's been up so far today. Didn't have a great qualifying, didn't have a particularly noteworthy race 1. He's coming under fire, though, from Huzo. So It's Racing is going to have to be driving through the mirrors a bit here, despite Pointed being right in front of him. He's certainly going to have to divide his attention between his windscreen and his rear mirror. That action can often breed mistakes. A bit of a tap there from the back of, or from the front of Huzo's car. I think that might have been lag more than anything, but It's Racing and Huzo with a little bit of contact. Huzo's going to have plenty of bent body parts on his car by the end of this after being nerfed into T1. Huzo pulls out of the slip then. Is he going to be able to get the inside line into T1? Is he going to be braver on the brakes? He's much braver on the brakes. I think It's Racing may have decided to exercise some discretion there. It looks as though he may have lifted and coasted into the corner. Meanwhile, Diswood has managed to get up into 6th place, so he's got past Deadpool as well as Brandosa. So the duo of Hondas making their way from the tail of the order, Diswood and Deadpool. They've switched places. It's now Diswood leading the charge through the pack. Wouldn't look like he was running wide there. Just taking a slightly different line from Brandosa. Does it give him a better run towards the hairpin? Looks as though it has. Is he able to stop that car, though? Runs very deep. They end up side by side again as they go back downhill now. Farrell PS has left the room. Connection issues for Farrell. That's the last thing RoboSport's team needs. They've already lost one driver to that. Punts, meanwhile, gets the better of the situation to hold on to 7th place. Unfortunately, RoboSport's other car, driven by the titular competitor, is well down there in the order after a few incidents. Spud, meanwhile, is leading the way by almost 3 seconds now. Huzo back up to P2. So the driver that led into T1 is making his way back up there. Now on pace, you would expect Huso to at least catch Spud. Look at how much of a gap the CP Motorsports Hondas had over the rest of the field at the end of the last race. I suspect that he is going to close in, especially through this final sector. Look at the gap shrinking down at the top left of your screen, in fact. You can see it happening. 10th on 10th being knocked away from Spud's gap, but Spud, a very experienced driver, a very wily competitor. If there's anyone who can hold off the Honda once it arrives at his rear bumper, you'd suspect that Spud is a leading candidate for the job. Trio of Hondas fighting for fourth then. It's racing under pressure from Diswood and Deadpool. They're going to go 3 wide, are they? Diswood tries to outbrake it, but it is the bravest on the brakes. Contact between Deadpool and Diswood. Minor disarray. But thankfully, they all stay on the circuit. It's racing then, holding on to P4 for now, but he's under so much pressure here from both of these drivers. Of course, Deadpool, you could expect some friendly driving between he and It's Racing, given they are teammates, but Diswood will be going into business for himself and CP Motorsports. Punts there in 7th place with a big moment of oversteer. And look at the gap, it's gone down another second. We may even see a move for the lead here into turn 1 if Huso can get himself into the slip. I don't think he's quite going to be close enough for that, but the pressure is certainly on in this lead battle. Gets a decent run out of the corner. He's going to be close, but he's not going to be close enough. A bit of lag there for Spud on my screen. Diswood, meanwhile, still challenging for 4th place, and this time goes all the way around the outside of It's Racing. Pushed it to the very limits there, and It's Racing drops 2 spots in 1 corner there. Deadpool not giving him inordinate amounts of room. Coming out of T1, it's ended up with the wheel on the grass. Deadpool's eyes firmly tracked on the back of Diswood's Honda. The lead battle is getting hotter and hotter, corner on corner. The superior handling of the NSX is really coming into its own here at Autopolis. Huso running in 2nd place then. Just over 3 laps of racing left. Can Spud pull out a miraculous defensive drive here in an effort to hold off Huso? Looks as though this man Pointed is going to have to do the same thing for his 3rd spot as well, with Wood and Poole catching it in no uncertain terms. It is Huso for now, who's challenging Spud. Again, look at how much later he is on the brakes there. Makes up a 10th or 2, purely under braking. Oh, Pointed's gone wide there. That's cost him 3rd place. It could even cost him 4th. Diswood through into P3. Pointed now under pressure from this man, Deadpool. Deadpool with a dive up the inside. That was a little bit rude, and I think Deadpool recognised that, allowed Pointed back through. Good, clean racing He's driving very much in the spirit of clean racing there from Deadpool. Didn't do a hit and run. Huso, meanwhile, all over the back of Spud. There's a moment further back. Was that Deadpool? What happened to Deadpool? Let's watch this on replay. Was he pushed by his own teammate there? No, that was lag. I think that was a disconnect. Deadpool has since left the room. This room is proving very unsteady. Huso running in P2 then. Is he going to make a move for the lead this time? He's very close to the back of Spud. But he hasn't been able to find a way. Real unfortunate stuff there from Deadpool to have been DC'd. Oh, Huso there, having to fight the oversteer. So then, on to the final lap of the race. Can Spud hold off Huso? We said that if anyone could, it was probably him. Huso struggling to keep that car in the straight and narrow. You get the feeling that this is a Honda circuit. Right up until the moment the Honda decides it doesn't like you anymore. Diswood, meanwhile, has third place. Spud and Huso running first and second. Looks as though Huso is going to have to concede defeat here. This is the section of the circuit, though, where the Honda is quicker, but there aren't many notable overtaking opportunities before the end of the lap. He gets himself loose there as well through the sweeper. That's cost him a few tenths. And it looks as though Spud may get a win here. Just one long sweeping right-hander and a left-hand kink between himself and victory. And it is the Match Spuds racing car, the defending champion, claiming a win. Just ahead of the two CP Motorsports Hondas, who are again so strong, but first lap dramas prevented them from driving off into the distance. Pointed settles for fourth ahead of It's Racing in fifth and Punts in sixth. Brandosa with a better run this time in seventh. Xiaomi, his teammate, behind him in eighth ahead of the other pit lane esports car. Slapper's mate running in ninth. Wazadon. The Domino's backed SDRT car solo for this race, of course, owing to the connectivity issues. Wiseacre unfortunately seeming unable to get back into the room. Robosport's teammate Farrell, of course, departed during the race, as did Deadpool. So just 11 cars seeing the end of the 11 laps. Right, lobby reset says it's racing. These connection issues that we're having in this room, he's deciding to take action. So there will be a little bit of pause for thought here between races 2 and 3. Hopefully we can get race 3 underway with a full quota of cars. So let's hope that we can get a new room open quickly. Is this the new room or is this the old room? I don't know. Room cannot be found. Well, that answers my question handily. Just some discussions going on off screen now. A couple of reserve drivers waiting in the wings if Wiseacre can't rejoin the room. Hopefully we get the room back up in just a sec. Apologies for this delay and the rather unprofessional site of my lobby page, but we're just waiting to get the room back up. With time, I'd like to have a full setup with some graphics and stuff to display between races, but time and money be primary steerers away from that. Still waiting on another room then. Just gonna exit in and out and see whether or not I can see the room. Wiseacre in the Discord saying if it isn't mechanical problems, it's internet problems, and certainly the servers have become a bit more temperamental with the most recent updates. So apologies for this kind of pause in the broadcast. Word from It's Racing, he's resetting his PS4, his modem, just about everything he can before he reopens the room in order to try and ensure stability. So that win for Spuds Comes in timely fashion for him, really. It's not been the most successful year to this point. He was yet to claim a win coming into this weekend. But thankfully, that has now changed. He's taken his first win of the season. Should be well up there in the points tally as well now. Championship will look equally close, I think, at the end of this Autopolis event. Again, just waiting for now for a room. Unfortunately, you know what they say about live TV? Well, it applies to live streaming as well. And unfortunately, at the moment, we are just awaiting the opening of a lobby. I kind of do, you know, Pointed. Pointed saying, you don't want to hear what kind of noises are happening in the party chat. I imagine they might not be suitable for broadcast. One can only speculate. So we wait with bated breath for the opening of a new lobby, for the dawning of a new horizon at Autopolis. If we're not careful, I'll soon have a cat jumping on top of me, informing me that my time on the PlayStation is over. Have to fight him off. Of course, these drivers often worry when we get to this kind of situation. It is, what, 11? I can't remember the conversion now. I think it's actually just gone 9 o'clock Australian time. As it stands. Correct, yeah. So it's just gone 9 o'clock. So not too late yet. There we go. Trackstar's room is open. So then, we are back in the room. Hopefully before long we will be back on the track. next to me as though Wiseacre might be having more connection issues. So we may see yet more substitution and wildcardism here. Looks as though Wiseacre is unfortunately still struggling to get in. So we might be seeing a recruit from the remits of the Trackstars Discord. No worries, Tom. Good to hear you're working. Chef Todd is going to hop in then. For the Shaden Racing team. Oh dear. Well, well, well. Not sure if that's me or just everyone. Let's try that again. This is not going great. Oh dear. A lot of talk about turkey noises going on in the Discord. I don't know what that means, but let's just hope we can get back into this lobby. Thankfully I'm back in. I just hope that I stay in. Looks like we're ready to go. I don't know why Wiseacre is still joining when he's saying, yeah, I'm done in the Discord. So hopefully racing will resume in just a few moments. The third and final 11-lap sprint here in Autopolis. Turn my keyboard back on and my race info. Good stuff. So then the final will be starting in just a few moments. Well, it's been a little while coming. But we are ready for the third race of the day here at Autopolis. It will be N Spud on pole position, leading the field away for 11 laps of racing. 5 lights, 4 lights, 3 lights, 2 lights, 1 light. And it's go, go, go for the final time here at Autopolis. Spud it is who leads the way into turn 1. Will we get a drama-free first corner? Looks like there's some outbraking there. Pointed. Looks like he might have had a moment there. There's someone off further back there. One of the SDRT cars facing the wrong way. It looks as though the rest of the field has got away cleanly. It was Wazadon with the moment. It's Spud who leads the way. It's Racing managing to get up into P2 there. Ooh, getting twitchy there in the Honda. Huso there in 3rd place, Pointed in 4th. Diswood 5th and 6th places with Punts as they continue on this first lap. Cold tyres, first corner, lots of slipstream, lots of draft, etc, etc, etc. Such a treacherous first corner off a standing start. By the standards of an Autopolis race, that was a fairly clean start. Huso up the inside of It's Racing. It's Racing looked like he made that fairly easy there, but then went back on the attack. Huso just carrying more speed, having more grip there by the looks of it. Will It's Racing be able to respond? He's too far back, I think, to make a move into T1, but we'll see. Diswood, meanwhile, right on the back of Pointed. Is he going to make the dive into T1? He does. Does he get the car stopped in time for the apex? Yes, he does. Pointed with a better run out of the corner, but had to lift out of the throttle a bit there, I think, to avoid the back of Diswood. So it's 3 Hondas now running 2nd, 3rd and 4th. And it's 3 Lexuses that make up the remainder of the top 6. This really doesn't appear to be a Nissan favouring circuit at all. It's Racing now, once again, coming to blows with a CP Motorsports Honda. This time it's Diswood looking to try and make a move. Looks like Farrell may have had a slight issue there. Let's see if we can catch that on replay. I think he may have just, oh yeah, outbraked himself in the slip of Slapper Mate. And Slappers did well there to not be hit. It's Racing holding on to 3rd place. Now where's Diswood? Diswood has dropped back to 8th place. What happened here? He was getting into it with Deadpool. Pointed had managed to get past him already. He ended up on the grass there. And it's all kicking off. Now head into T1. And Diswood has dropped to 7th place. I'm not sure what happened between him and Pointed. Of course, he was all over the back of It's Racing. Deadpool was ahead of Pointed as well, so it's all shifted and altered here. Meanwhile, Huso has closed in massively on the back of Spud at the head of the order. So more fireworks potentially set to take place there as well. Look at this pack here. The bottom half of the top 10. not so much no man's land as every man's land here at the bottom half of the top 10. Xiaomi in 9th place there with Slapper's Mate and Robosport behind him, and Diswood looking to try and make moves here. Punts there, I think, ran it a bit wide. I don't know whether he got a bit of a nudge there from Diswood or whether he just ran it wide himself. But nonetheless, he's had a moment. Huso is not close enough to make the move into T1. It's racing, holding on to P3 for now. Oh, very sideways out of T1. Power slide. Pointed and Poole running 4th and 5th place at this stage. Diswood up to 6th, as we said. Punts hasn't had the strongest outing here today. A couple of drivers that we'd expect to be at the sharp end have had difficult runs of it. Pointed, meanwhile, has had an absolutely excellent pair of races so far, even though he's just been overtaken there by Deadpool. Pointed running well in the top 5 so far in all 3 races. Looks like a driver who's really coming into his own in the series. He's got a highly capable Diswood. Typically does his racing under the SLM banner, of course, but has been gelling very well within CP Motorsports. He's now challenging Pointed for a position in the top 5. It's racing, meanwhile. Is he going to make it easy for his teammate? Looks like he does lift out the throttle a bit there to allow Deadpool through. Has Deadpool overshot that braking zone? No, he hasn't. Diswood still not close enough to the back of Pointed. Of course, I think... Oh, Diswood looking to the inside there. It's not going to be that easy. Of course, it's racing. I think he'll now look at it as his duty to play rear gunner here for Deadpool as he tries to mount a challenge on the top 2, although he's got some gap to make up before he can think of that. Deadpool's going to have to do a lot of work to get up there. I think It's Racers can do all he can to make sure no one else follows him. It's Racing, the rear gunner for Deadpool. Whoa. It's there, just getting sideways. Pointed. Not close enough to make a move into T1, although he will have the slipstream helping him close in down the main straight. Is Diswood going to be close enough at the end of the straight? It's 2/10 at the moment. He may be able to make the lunge into T1, although it would be risky business. No, it looks as though he's safe. Todd, meanwhile, running in the appropriate colours for SDRT. Just moved up to 12th, and that's because this man Farrell looks to have had quite a major incident out on circuit, unfortunately. Farrell's really been through the wars here today at Autopolis. He's now at the very back of the order with a taped together car. Huso pressuring Spud for the lead then. Half distance in the race just gone. Spud would do an amazing job to hold him off for this long. Oh, Spud getting a wheel on the grass there. Surely that's going to cause him to run it wide into this corner? It does, but Huso can't make a car's width on the inside. It's going to go defensive into turn one. This is the home circuit for Lexus, quite literally. Huso looking scrappy. Definitely on the offensive. But Spud is just about holding him off for the time being, but how long can he keep doing this? Oh, he's let a car width go there into the hairpin. Oh, but Huso can't take advantage. He almost loses it there entirely. Such a difficult job keeping this NSX on the straight and narrow, out of corners. All of these cars are very tricky on initial power application, but the NSX in particular. Whoa, look at that snap oversteer. Great visualization there of just how much work Diswood is, that Huso is having to do to keep the car going. And of course, while these two are battling, as they are, Deadpool there in third place has already practically halved his gap to these two. We could have a three-way dice for the win here. Diswood, meanwhile, closing in on its racing. And as spotted there by Michael Levy in the comments, Pointed has dropped to 6th place now. Wood. Oh, look at that, round the outside by Huso. Not quite able to find a way past Spud. Excellent fighting for the lead. There goes Huso, big dive into the second braking zone of the lap, and he's made that stick. Now Spud is going to know that NSX has superior speed. He's going to need to make a move as soon as he can. Realistically, he needs to try and get by at the upcoming hairpin, because that NSX is mega through the final sector of this lap, and I think Spud has already dropped too far back. Oh, but he's gone for it. What a lunge from Spud. That's not fair game, unfortunately, though. He knew as well as I did that that was his one chance. And he tried to take it, but unfortunately that's come at the expense of both he and Huso rattled now. Off onto the gravel trap, and Spud, well, he's through into second place. He's going to feel guilty about that. I know that Spud is a clean driver and a good driver. But that move, that error into the next turn was unforced, albeit probably courtesy of dirty tyres. Diswood is through into 4th place while all of that was happening. It's racing, standing rather lonely there in 5th place, but of course all of this has meant that Deadpool has snuck through into the lead of the race. We saw it happen there while we saw Spud and Huso kind of collecting each other and having a to and fro. Deadpool, who was homing in on the lead battle, no longer has a battle to worry about. He has almost 5 seconds of cushion at the head of the order, and he has no obligation to wait around while other people give each other places back. Pointed has dropped back, as rightly pointed out there by Michael once again. I'm not sure what's happened to him. A 1:44 on the last lap. He must have made an error somewhere. He's all the way down in 10th place now, so after what had been a very promising pair of races to this point, race 3 unfortunately has proved to be unlucky for Pointed. Diswood meanwhile all over the back of Spud. Huso has managed to get through into 2nd place as well. Missed that. So Huso's got past both Spud and Wood on this lap. And now Diswood, who's been battling with Spud, all race long. And they were fighting for the lead, but unfortunately, the fight has now resumed, but merely for third spot. Like I said, Spud knew as well as I did that he needed to make that move before the final sector. He was simply too far back. He knows that. He'll be well aware that that was his mistake. He did redress the place, of course. But he will take any further penalisation on the chin. He'll be well aware that that was not great driving. Deadpool it is then, as we head on to the final lap. It is the British competitor who's had, to say it lightly, a mixed bag of results so far. It will be Deadpool that goes on to the final lap with a comfortable margin. Of course, started from the tail of the order, given he didn't even get to finish race 2 with a disconnect. It's been a multi-pack of heroes and zeros for Deadpool. But finally, it looks as though the 28 car is on course for a result befitting the pace it's shown. Huso there in second, this man, the defending champion Spud, in third place. Looks like the top 5 have rather spread out. Further back in the order, things look relatively calm as well. Big blow that for Pointed to drop his place at the end there. 24 car, looks like he'll be finishing this one down in 10th place. Spud runs it a bit deep there into the hairpin. He still has Diswood behind him. I think Wood is too far back, but the NSX is strong through the final sector, and I think there will be a little bit of red mist on Wood after the moments that they've had so far. Spud under a lot of pressure. Wood looking to go all the way around the outside. That's not going to work. Oh, it's side by side between the two of them. We're going to have to take a look at Deadpool, though. He crosses the line to take a comfortable win in the end. Against all odds, second place for Huso, and Spud is going to hold on to P3 by the narrowest of margins. The race-long battle between Spud and Wood does go to Spud. Good battle for 5th place as well. It's Racing gets out of shape at the line. Little bit of a argy-bargy there at the line between Itz and Brandosa. I don't know whether there was a moment between the two of them, but It's Racing looked like he was retaliating to something there. Puntz takes 5th place. Brandosa gets 6th. It's Racing in 7th. Xiami 8th place. 9th place is Robosport. Pointed rounds out the top 10. 11th place for Wazadon. Slapper's Mate is going to take 12th place for Pit Lane Esports. A disappointing third race for them. Farrell will take 13th, and Chef Toad, having come in as a last-minute draft here, will get some points on the board for the Shaden Racing team. Good last-minute arrival for Todd. It's never easy to pop in, especially in the third race of 3. It's been a dramatic race, and there is no greater indicator of that than the fact that the man who disconnected in the second race and was nowhere at the start of this race has managed to haul his way through the entire order and take the victory. That is what has happened. Look at that, started in 12th place on the grid. But Deadpool has taken the third and final win. I think this is going to be a race that draws many post-mortems, or a trio of races that draw many post-mortems, especially that third race. A lot happened there. Some of it we saw, and I think some of it we may have missed there. But looked like there was some heat between Brandosa and Itz at the end of that final race as well. Lots to talk about, lots to contest. Spud, I know, will feel bad for that collision. Great driving from Deadpool to take the win there. Kept his nose clean where others struggled. And great point from Michael Levy there. Great to see that the car emblazoned with the Murray Walker tribute managed to take the win there with the British driver at the wheel as well, Deadpool. And so that is the end of the on-track action. Certainly, the stewards are going to have their hands full after that one. Dramas aplenty here at Autopolis. And that will do interesting things to the championship complexion as well. But from here in the UK, from myself, Adam Weller, it is time to sign off for today. Again, as with the top of the broadcast, we will do the same with the bottom and pass on our sincere thoughts and prayers with the family of Murray Walker, who passed away yesterday at the age of 97, the voice of all motorsport, Formula One and beyond, for so many decades to most of the English-speaking world. Murray's indelible style and personality will forever be associated with the sport, and we will hold him in our memory for a long time to come, but particularly today, in light of his recent passing, our final words are rest in peace, Murray Walker. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon here on Track Stars.